now. So there was one moment when I asked my colleagues, how do I make it to become a freelance interpreter? And I received so many different answers to my question. And there were some examples. Send your resume whenever you are presented with the possibility, but do not expect to receive a response just like that. Well, at the most, they would just add you to their database. And I had that feeling of a closed door in front of me, some certain despair even. But it's not really so bad. Things are not beyond hope. And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Yuliia Nazarenko. I am an interpreter. And today I want to tell you about 10 essential steps for newcomers which will help you to unlock the locked door. And I want to show it to you through the prism of music and beautiful melodies, because since childhood I've been playing the piano, and when I was a kid I overcame difficult musical challenges, very complicated passages, and I just want to illustrate it here, what I actually mean. Overcoming these challenges and difficulties, I learned to become determined, and I understood that a musician should practice every day. And it's clear that right now, well, there is certain worry behind it, but I understood that being an interpreter, it also works for interpreters, as you can see it on this slide. But you know that everything starts with love, and interpretation is not an exception here. So the very first step that you need to take is to love your profession. Love matters a lot. And that is the melody that I would like to play now, related to the love concept. And it's really hot here, and I feel that my fingers are so slippery, it's difficult for me to play, so please support me here. So this is the melody that I would like to dedicate to love and to our profession. So we'll see how it goes with my presentation. But not only this, it's not only about love. We know that love shapes motivation, and it has been proved. Time management is very important, self-dedication, and in my own experience, I can say that whenever we have these three components, they form this basis for the development of whatever you can imagine. So if there is something wrong with your motivation, we know that it is not linear. You do not feel like interpreting. You do not feel like doing anything. Then at that moment, that could be about love or some other components which guide you. They help you to perceive your development and your journey. But as I mentioned, you really need to practice every day. That is why the next step number 2, is about acquisition of skills. And frankly speaking, this is what I do on an everyday basis. We can talk about different markets, but there will always be a demand for good interpreters. It's very important to practice your interpretation skills, to practice every day some 15-20 minutes of interpretation. If there is any challenge or any problem that you feel like having with your delivery, with your pronunciation, work on it. Work with your trainers, teachers. Also, it's very important to work in pair, and the initiative here helps a lot. I work together with my colleagues using textbooks by Andrei Falaleyev and Lynn Wisson's Practicum, And we know it from our experience that when we want to work independently or to practice something, to work on something, very often we do not really accomplish that. But whenever we have a certain deadline or some timelines or a specific date, when you work with your colleagues, then you will definitely find the motivation and commitment, and it works really smooth. That is why I encourage all of you to work in pairs, to work with your colleagues, with several colleagues, to use different textbooks, to apply different resources which are available. What else is of importance? And I just want to reiterate it. It is very important to work continuously, to work on your breathing techniques, to work on your vocabulary. Just you name it, what's important to you. But there's another very important question that we can pose here. What kind of skills should we be working on? Just something that you're not good at? Well, even if you do not know about any techniques, then what should be the strategy in this case? Then you take step number 3, and I call it support. It is vital to ask for advice, for assistance or help. It's impossible to achieve something without support. Wise colleagues and mentors, those who have kind hearts, they will always help you. They will show you. They will really outline what is the essence of the problem, what is something that you should work on. They will never leave you just like that, and they will really help you to move on this path. But it's very important to try to get in contact with them. You can send the recording of interpretation, but be very honest when you get in touch. And the feedback that you receive from your colleagues, they are so important, they are priceless. The words that you hear from your mentor or an instructor or trainer or a teacher, especially when you have something very important, when someone encourages you, just do it, have a blast, I believe in you, whatever they say, it really helps you to grow wings and you feel the confidence to attain what you plan to attain. And I want to express my gratitude to everyone who's been helping me, to all my mentors, trainers, teachers, colleagues, friends, and of course my family. Without your support, it would be impossible for me to achieve it. So all the ideas and mentorship that I receive, it's priceless. And we can go back to a musical passage again. So this is my way of saying thank you to all of you. If some of you recognize this tune, then please, a round of applause would be very much welcome. So this is my musical thank you to my colleagues, to my mentors, to everyone. Well, as you can see, I'm really anxious and this weather is very intense. So you've been practicing already, practicing every day. What is the next step that you should take? You already see the progress, you see the results, your output. That means that it is time for step 4, the beginning or your entrance. It's very important to make yourself visible, to make yourself known. Just come into the spotlight, introduce yourself as an interpreter. If there's anything that you can share about yourself, do that. It could be about some recommendations. At some point, I understood that I have accumulated such a great mass of information, but I didn't share it with a lot of people. And that is why I decided it's high time I started. Just do the same thing. take this decision? And how do you get started? There is this psychological trick how to do that. You need to be really loud here, and you really need to say it aloud, to have this countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there you go. But where do we get started? How do we do that? Here my recommendation would be to start with social media. Choose a certain social media channel which works for you. And for me it is Instagram. Here you can see a screenshot from my Instagram profile. And it works for me because I can create images. I am into graphic representation of ideas, and all of us have our own talents. And it's very important to analyze that. If you're good at drawing, or you're good at dancing, playing, well, maybe better than I've been performing today because, I'm really worried, then you can use it to your benefit. It can be your cutting edge, and it will make you really original. What is also important is to work on your target audience, to do some research, to understand what is the age, gender, geography, to read what your colleagues have already been writing. And it's so much important to keep analyze any incoming information about anything. It's important to have some useful information. It's better to have 1-2 posts than to have many more posts, but they are not really informative and they are just, empty words. In terms of the content, it's important to understand your target audience. And if it is the page where you want to promote yourself, that is one category of content. Then when you want to write and focus on your clients, then here you need to think about a different kind of content. And it's very easy to find this way how to start this social media activity. Just add a photograph to your profile, and there you go. And slowly we already approach the topic of marketing. And you know that, well, first of all, it's step number 5, and it is a very interesting topic. As I call it, it takes really long to play this marketing game. And if I can really pull myself together right now, because, well, I know it's difficult for you to imagine that I've been rehearsing for many months and there was no problem at all, but at this moment, some difficulties arise. So this is the way marketing sounds to me. And this is this Hungarian dance. Yes, I managed to do that. Marketing is not only about social media. That is an entire complex of practices and activities that you need to get involved into. So drawing on my experience, it's important to work on your unique selling point. What do I mean by that? It's important to understand what makes you unique. And as soon as you realize that, you start letting other people know about that. Send the message to your colleagues if they are your target audience or clients. So what is the nature of this message? You really need to communicate why can you be of help. So the key word here is why. And having an answer to this question, it will help you to shape this unique selling point, USP. What is the next thing that you do? You really need to remain visible and to communicate this idea through your social media, make comments, write articles, you can create your website. It is also important to find your niche, the topic in which you're good at. And you need to do it gradually when it comes to marketing because it is such a vast topic and it requires a lot of effort and resources and time and even money-wise. It also takes a lot. Then another thing is about your cutting edge, this is the way to explain that it really matters to you, and you need to explain to the client. And again, we talk about continuous practice and improvement. Whatever happens, you practice and you do it every day. And then we have these 5 steps, and you can already imagine how much effort it takes, how complicated it can be, and when you're really dedicated and committed to what you're doing. That is why it's important that you give yourself time for that, but sometimes you have this feeling that we are running out of time. There are so many things we have to do, so many things on our plate that you cannot really work it out. And this is a certain feeling that you have, anxiety. And after this anxiety, you can feel the fatigue. And what happens next when you feel really fatigued? Then it grows into despair. And simultaneously, you feel that the stress is all over you. And on top of that, do not forget that you really need to work on some other things in your life. And without saying, you also need to spend some time with your family, and also to make sure that you do what you've got to do. And there's chaos and all of these things that you need to do. You also need to remember to take care of yourself. Here's the question: what do we do in this situation when you really feel that you cannot really keep going, you feel bone tired? What do we do next? Well, okay, yes, this emoji should have been there while I was playing. So what is the next step? It's very important to be self-disciplined and to take another step. What could be my recommendation? Time management and the ability to organize yourself is a silver bullet for me. It is a life vest when it comes to the list of things that I need to do. That is why I always recommend to focus on one task. Probably it is about some banalities or trivial things, but you know that we spend so much time on social media, on phone calls. Steer clear of social media. If you really want to make it happen, you also need to exert some effort. And what works for me is a Pomodoro technique. It is a well-known method which involves working on something for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break, and then you work for another 25 minutes, and there are 4 rounds. So you can give it a go, and then you will understand how many tasks or assignments you can accomplish. What is also important? It's important to track your progress, to see what you managed to achieve, what your progress is. There will always be progress. It's important that you understand that. Create the routine, a certain regime. And here I would like to show you a tracking of tasks. This is the way I work on several tasks on a daily basis. That could be my interpretation activities or some reading, grammar, just you name it, whatever I'm working on, or some other things that I need to do. And there I have the status, if it was accomplished or not accomplished. And when you work in this mode, you can already have this picture of your progress. You can see the output, the result. Even if you miss something, if you fail to fill something in, it's very important to keep going, and it will help you to shape your motivation and the feeling that you're really making progress, and then you will also be able to deal with procrastination.
When you don't have any real work, any clients. It's very important to gain this critical mass. And now I need to say that just doing daily this interpretation for 15 minutes, or maybe sometimes just I need to do it for 1 hour, just gaining, interpreting one by one each time. So I really could gain this critical mass working on a daily basis, and all the time the main baseline is going forward. You need to push yourself just a little bit, even if you don't want, but make these efforts over yourself. And what about time management? And now I want to say that it's very important when there are a lot of tasks and assignments. It's very important to clear your head, just to clear everything on any driver, on any flashcard. So if you do it, then you will feel this easiness, and if you play it with the piano, the melody would feel like it. Easiness, really, you feel it, some type of easiness. And actually, how to release yourself? You need to create the baseline for yourself. For me, it's such a daily book, such a my notebook, where you could just add all my assignments, all my tasks. You could use your laptop, it doesn't matter. You could see your schedule for a week, your daily plan, and actually it looks like a GTD system. If you don't know what is it, just Google it. And I love it. I love using such things, and because you could just add papers there, you could just take the papers from it if you don't need, you could just continue a project, so you could use it and form it by your way of work, just adapting it for your requirements and demands. And then you would have this wish to do everything. And also it's very important to analyze and prioritize all the assignments. And actually, if all these assignments are not well formulated, it's very important also to do them. You should not leave them for another day. And then it's very important also to give you some time for rest. For example, if you work very intensively for several days, please schedule a day for rest in order to recover yourself, because it's very important to have some time for recovering, in order not to have this burnout, to have this sadness, the sad melody that you heard just recently. Sometimes a day or two it's not enough. Then half a week, half a month, it's important to understand that you will have enough time for everything. It's important not to panic, so please have your time. And when you have this rest, when you have new you are fresh, you should make another step, and that's a step forward, step into the market. And actually here there was no doubt what melody should I choose for this moment. It's not a contemporary melody. If you know it, please just give me some applauses. And also make a little bit louder voice of the piano, because it's too, the voice is too low right now. So going into the market, it's an interesting topic. If you just recognize this melody, I think you should know what I'm going to speak about. So what is the starting point? Start with your CV. So the standards of the CV is just one or more, it's just a legend case. So I will show you one more case. I just developed my CV using a lot of resources, reading a lot of books, and of course I showed it to my colleagues, and I took into consideration of all of their advices. So please, first of all, add your contact details. Who are you? Your full name. What is your profession? What is the type of interpretation you're providing, and also languages and the topics you are working on. And please provide some key competences. Here it's very important to speak very briefly, clearly, showing your real achievements, giving some numbers. The key things, the most important about you, your experience, with whom you have worked, some projects. Of course, making your CV, you should take into consideration what to add, what to avoid. But for sure, you should include the spheres of competence. Skills. One more important aspect to include: soft and hard skills. And here it's very important to use verbs. You should not use adjectives like communicative and so on. For example, I know how to communicate very well with a person within just 5 minutes. I share experience, I share knowledges, I work as a volunteer. So very clearly, briefly, without any empty words or like this. So show your education, some contact details, what courses or workshops you have passed, so that your CV is ready. So what is the next step? The next step is to search for a job. And I think that it's not so difficult to prepare for a job, but the most difficult thing is to get it, to get the job and to do it. And actually, I can't do it without music, of course. It's a very interesting topic for me. Now, of course, you should make some efforts and have this comprehensive, holistic approach. And of course, also, as always, you should have some time for it, because it's not just 1 month you need for it. And also, I recommend to make a list using Google Docs or just on paper, how it's more convenient for you, with clear details. Whom you sent the CV? What is the status of delivery? Did you receive an answer? You're expecting an answer. You haven't received any answer at all. So all those things you should monitor. You should follow it up, and also some words about how to search the clients. If it's a language agency and translation agency, here maybe you need not only to submit a CV, but also to use some recommendations of your colleagues. And also, please remember that just translation agencies could add you to their databases, and you would not have any real assignments. And in terms of searching some clients, here you should systematically work on your promotion, developing some client-oriented content, and just use it using LinkedIn, using your own website, developing it and thinking what to publish there, what should be there, and of course networking. Pay your attention to it, because a lot of colleagues think that if other colleagues would recommend me, then I would have a job. But actually, the situation is a little bit different. If nobody had heard you, nobody would recommend you. But if we have even a small chance to interpret somewhere on site in a real assignment. Just it doesn't matter online or offline. Just record yourself, and of course, ask your clients whether whether it is possible to publish your interpretation. It's very important to show your work, to show what you interpret, and you could also just publish not only such types of interpretation. You could just publish some trainings, what you do, exercises, some practices. What it doesn't matter what you do, just record it and publish it. And just believe all those efforts, when you do it systematically, all those efforts will lead to the outcomes. And the outcomes is in new assignments. And you know, when assignments appear, the next question is how to prepare to this job. Because there is no chance for mistake during interpretation, because if you interpret badly, no one would call you again. And with your first assignment, really, it seems like the sky will drop on the earth. And with the music, with the melody, I just sing it like this. And if you know the melody, please give me a round of applause. For me, the sky drops on the earth like this. That's the first assignment. But I don't wish it for you. But just remember that nothing could be ideal from the very beginning. We can't avoid it. We just should accept it. In order to prepare yourself for the assignment, please ask for the materials. And it's important not only to ask, but also to read them, to work with them. And also just write down all those names and positions of the speakers, because often, very often, they're just expressed so quickly and that you can't just, you should only read them. And also have your own glossaries divided into different topics. You could use different papers, different just adding to the daily planners. You don't need papers, for example. If you like laptop, you could use it just have this electronic glossaries. Also use these practical exercises prior to the real work. For example, you could just practice shadowing and then fake it till you make it. You know this phrase, you know it's just wonderful. And being in the booth, it's really great happiness. Really, it's true. When you are in the booth, just enjoy it. Because you should just leave all those nerves behind and enjoy the process. And what is the next? The next is step number 10. That's almost the end of my presentation. What could I tell you? Everything, do everything with quality. Show everywhere the passion, this wish, this desire. Analyze everything, all information that comes to you. You just understand you're a unique person. Everything you are doing, all your business, that's everything about uniqueness, and that's the point. You are unique. And it's very important to understand that in order to get to any market, of course, you need to make those efforts. You need to make those systematic actions. You need to use different methods, combining them, and then closed doors will open for sure. Just knock into them and let the music help you, as it helps me always from the very childhood. And here, if you need any support, of course, get in touch with me. And the final melody, the final music, now really I need this great round of applauses for me. And please, loud applauses. And if you know this melody also, please give me applauses.
gonna be just a face in the crowd. You're gonna hear my voice when I shout it out loud. It's my life, it's now or never. I'm gonna live forever. I just wanna live alive, alive. It's my life, my heart's like an open highway. Breaking 17.
If you need any type of support, I'm always open. Please get in touch. And thank you. Let's applaud to Yuliia, who really showed this high level of presentations on our conference. We are really thinking about it. We will show this format to all our potential speakers. Really, it's great. It was wonderful. Just, I'm so nervous, but believe me, it was worth of it. If you have any questions? No, the temperature is around here is plus 34. Do you have any questions? Yeah, so if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Yuliia is in Instagram, Facebook, and also I've almost completed my website. At the beginning of next week, we could just go there. Yes.